a meeting of all the governors, and he was invited to attend so that we can deal with the Akure Accord. And we met at Naifo in Benin, and he did not turn up. And of course, all the secretaries to the government, all the were there, all the governors were there. He was invited, but of course he said because of security reason he cannot come, so he didn't come or send anybody. And we discussed that Aburi discussion, and for example, the permanent, the secretary to the government, the West, did ask, came and appealed to me, as a Christian, please, if we can make sure that that accord, what we agreed is in the true spirit of Aburi. And I told him, as a Christian, I can assure you that that is the way it is going to be. And we had that meeting. In the end, we invited him to come. He did not come. So, and when we ended the meeting, of course, the spirit of Aburi was totally, as if it was sort of, I do not know what accord he was reading, because he came to the meeting with, prepared papers, of things that he wanted. And of course, we discussed them one by one, agree on some, disagree on some. Like, for example, to give you one of the major issues, although we say that the military would be zoned, but the control, and then he wanted, those zones to be commanded by the governor. Say, you have a military zone in the north, will be commanded by the governor of the ministry. In the east, will be commanded by by him, and military in the west, by this thing. And of course, we did not agree with that one. And certainly, it was not one of those agreed. But none of us went there, with any senior official, secretary to the government, or senior, etc. We did not. We just went there, as far as we are concerned, to be able to meet as officers now and then, to agree to be able to get back home and resolve our problem at home. That was my understanding, but that is not his understanding. And so when we went to Naifo and discussed this, the spirit of Aburi was certainly included. The only thing that I added was that no region, will can secede.
Right.
Can from the
so that there was a clear, from your point of view, misunderstanding.
Absolutely.
The war, of course, ended in 1970, and you came up with that no victor, no vanquished declaration, which was seen by many people, both at home and abroad, as a extraordinary, magnanimous gesture of post-war reconciliation, unprecedented in many ways. Would you say that 55 years later, Nigeria has healed from the wounds inflicted by that terrible war, and that no victor, no vanquished declaration of yours was fully adopted in this country?
Well, at least we've survived how many years now? We survived how many years?
It'll be 65 this year.
Well, we've survived 65 years. Since the war, let us say.
Yes, 55 years since the war.
Since the war. At least, if there is anything You know, my whole idea is that when all this thing is done, at least we can be able to come back, you know, and rebuild the country and make the great efforts that have been done. Yes, we've gone through, through dangerous time whereby as though we're going to break up, etc. But we've now come back. And we are now improving at every stage.
But you do know that survival is not the same as thriving.
Oh, thriving! You know, isn't Nigeria thriving today? Come along, let us have it. Have we not gone beyond? If I mean, what we were 55 years ago, you know, and we still trying to get the perfection. Certainly, I did not mean that if I mean, things will be absolutely perfect the way they want or anybody wants. But at least we will survive as a country, improving at every stage.
Right.
To where we are. And if we look at things the way things are going today, most of the people that were affected by the war today, great progress and happening in the East, in all the states in the East. I certainly did not try to stop development and improving the situation, as the time goes along.
After the Nigerian Civil War, your administration enjoyed enormous financial liquidity because of the oil boom of that period. Nigerians believed that money was not necessarily properly utilized for the development of this country. I wonder what your response is to that. Could you perhaps have applied those resources better?
Well, first of all, we've got to make sure that we protect, that sources of that wealth, and to make sure that it is not destroyed. So we really remove the attack from the other side, who are doing a lot of the destruction, whether it is a nature bridge or whatever, or various areas, so that the federal side did not get to them. We made sure that those were protected, because I know that we are going to need those resources for the reconstruction and redevelopment, and the development of the country. And that is what we did. We thank God that soon after that we were able to have sufficient resources to carry on the 3 or the 4 R's. Well, we say the 3 R's in the country, and making sure that
as reconstruction, rehabilitation,
and reintegration.
Right.
Reintegration.
Yeah.
So there were 4, but we just use the 3. And we were able to achieve that. To restore the damaged school, hospitals, etc., in the affected areas. That is the whole of the East, and the other areas like in the Midwest that were a lot of destruction, and also part of the North that we had a few bomb attacks,
right,
from the other side. So really, yes, that resources was used, for the development of the country.
Right. I think a lot of people would probably agree with you that there was considerable development, certainly in the Southeast after the Civil War, and other places across the country. But there are those who say that oil boom, which Nigeria enjoyed, not only propelled a measure of economic development, but it also fueled a huge amount of corruption, which has continued to deepen since that time. They accuse you of failing to tackle the scourge of corruption and suggest that if you had, perhaps the problem of officially sanctioned theft wouldn't be as bad as it is today. What's your response to that?
Well, I just want people to tell me those areas of corruption that was not dealt with during our time, or, well, at least let them start with me to say that corruption. It was me.
Well, let me mention two things, and not aimed at you directly, but aimed at the governments generally. There was that cement armada in 1975, a result of signing contracts with international suppliers, delivery of millions of tons of cement in 1 year, and it had the capacity to take Lagos Port, just had the capacity to take just 1 million tons. And then there was the other one, the indigenization decree of 1972, which allowed Nigerians to take over or share in the ownership of the big international companies in this country. People criticized that, saying that it provided a windfall, that indigenization decree, for just a few highly connected Nigerians. So those are two examples there.
Now, let me say this: the cement armada that you talked about, that was came in just before, actually before my overthrow. Now, at the end of the war, part of our effort in order to reconstruction, of the country was to make sure that we were able to, do this, throughout, the country. So if you have the civil servants, wanting cement, you want them, for the military, etc. And of course, well, various groups say they wanted that one, and we wanted to get those cement, but we went to America, we went to Britain, and we could not get anything. We went to Europe, to Turkey, to Bulgaria, etc., to try and get some of this thing. And honestly, we did not get any. There was, shortage, of this supply. At that time, Gaddafi had already bought all the cement that he wanted for the development of his own country. And honestly, we did not. But there was a glut of shipping at that time in the world. Now, go and find that out. There was a glut of shipping. And of course, we could not get the amount of cement, even the million that people say only that the port can take. None of.
So that was a false allegation.
No, it was absolutely false.
Right.
But there was certainly a glut of shipping, and of course there were people that said they will get cement for you, etc. And with the with the shipping glut that we have, yes, they cannot. We could not get it. But they would say that they have bought those cement, to the country, and if they brought that amount of cement, and they dump it, by our port, how many ships could be able
Yeah.
to.
Well, let me move on from that.
So let me just say that. So there was certainly collusion between some of these shipping people. Some might be some officials.
Right.
And
what about the indigenization decree? I don't mean to interrupt you.
I only during my time only dealt with.